Hello and thanks for staying with us. This is Political Platform on Repa FM and African Independent Television AIT. My name is Amici Anapwe. The electoral process in the run-up to the 2027 general election is up and running. Political parties are putting finishing touches to the upload of candidates' names at the state level to the portal of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. After that, INEC will review and verify nomination forms and other supporting documents of candidates submitted by the political parties. This will be followed by publication of the personal particulars and documents submitted by the candidates. Next is the period for objections and legal challenge of perceived false documents and information in court. After that, substitution of candidates' name under circumstances permitted by law will follow. These circumstances include death of any candidate, voluntary withdrawal of any candidate, or withdrawal or substitution as directed by court judgments. The final process for processing of candidates for the election is when INEC will publish final lists of candidates. Just to remind you that campaigns for the presidential and National Assembly elections will commence on August 19, 2026, while that of the governorship and state assemblies will start on September 9. And so, on Political Platform today, we will review these processes as they play out. We'll be joined by the National Chairman of Social Democratic Party, SDP, Professor Sadiq Gombe. Before then, we will seek answers to questions that have trailed the allocation of 30.15 billion naira in the 2026 budget for the construction, renovation, and furnishing of palaces and execution of some religious-related projects across the country. Now, a document released by a public accountability organization, Tracker, that's an initiative of Budget Foundation, showed that a total of 22 billion was earmarked for renovation and furnishing of 106 palaces of traditional rulers nationwide, while 8 billion was budgeted for projects related to construction, renovation, and other related support to churches and mosques across the country. In the 2026 budget, we will examine that. My colleagues are with me on the program today, Ujue J. Shola Jaisimi and Mustafa Mohammed. Welcome to the program. Nigeria is funding religion, funding reconstruction of mosques, churches, palaces at a time. Education is suffering. Recently, the Minister of Education increased through WAEC the fees for registration, doubled it but backtracked after a public outcry. This is a government that will say we don't have enough for education, but somehow they find ways to push in money in the budget for things that are personal to citizens, such as mosques and churches.
Doctor, I see hypocrisy in all this. For a very long time in Nigeria, I've had the generality of the citizens saying, give unto Caesar what is for Caesar, give unto God what is for God. And in so many other things, when you speak, they will say religion is a personal matter. Our primary health cares are empty. Many public higher institutions lack enough hostels, staff quarters, the facilities such as potable water supply in those hostels, electricity, and so many other needs. Those traditional rulers are under various local governments in the country. Why do you need to put these billions of naira in the rehabilitations of their palaces? Then the religious institutions have rich members. The religious organization, mosques and churches have virtually survived from the contributions of its members. Why should government put money in churches and mosques? Some of these churches and mosques are so rich that some pastors are having private jets and helicopters You see their convoys, riding with police escort, expensive SUVs. So also some of the Muslim organizations, you see 4, 5, 6, 10 jeeps with 10 pickups escorting them with escort. They have a lot of money. Those monies they are budgeting to put in the religious institutions are monies we need to revamp our army and give them logistics and welfare. These are monies we need to revamp our Nigerian police, build new barracks, rehabilitate the old ones, give them logistics, communications, and welfare, increase the scholarship for students at various levels, despite the fact that we have the law. As those in the National Assembly did not fall from the sky. They are not angels. They are Nigerians. They know the various problems Nigerians are facing. Why on earth would anybody come with that kind of scheme and put up to 22 point something or more billions of naira into churches and mosques when our healthcare is suffering, education is suffering? We have bad roads and bridges everywhere. They take home of nurses, doctors, and teachers, policemen are very poor. Okay. I don't think this is justifiable.
Well, let me start from the fact that report is quite broad. It doesn't just stay with the federal budget. It goes into the budget of the states as well. And with regards to the rehabilitation of palaces, what happens is that our traditional rulers, according to some aspects of the law, they are expected to get some funding from local governments. It's there. So it depends on so if it's there in the, the piece of legislation that guides local government administration, that you will take care of traditional rulers, I think it's not 1% of local government funds or something. We need to get those figures so that at least we're spot on it. That's the reason why those things are there, for the traditional rulers, to ensure before the advent
it's not local government budget, Mr. Shola.
No, this report focuses on federal states. And I'm saying that many of the states have usurped the authority of local government and they control their funds. That's why we're seeing it. I'm not saying it is right. I'm just saying this is what exists at this moment. Because you're not unaware of that the show of Borunu, that the government funds.
No, I don't think anybody would pick any quarrel with renovation of palaces.
Exactly.
It's more on the religious side.
No, the report is two-pronged.
Yes.
So I needed to emphasize that as well.
Absolutely.
The one on religion, all of us know, and I want to, at times, when we give this charge, we need to also, look at ourselves as well. As we're sitting here, how many of us have not benefited from going to either Jerusalem or Mecca? Elijah, I don't know how many times you have gone.
Not with government money. I've never been sponsored by government or any religious organization.
Good. That's a good point.
Yes.
So I have somebody.
In fact, I rejected the last offer from the government institution.
I know somebody close to me who has gone on government pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Government paid the ticket, paid everything. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. So we can see that this country keeps saying it's a secular state, but we pump money into religion in various ways. We fund pilgrimages, we fund Hajj for people to go to Hajj, some are subsidized and all of that. So until we are able to cut that, but the chances of us doing that as a nation are very slim. Religion is the opium of the people. You give it to them, you seem to take their attention.
Why do you think the chances are slim? Is it not we need someone that will put his feet on the ground and insist that the right thing be done? How complex should that be?
They've been putting feet, but the thing didn't reach ground all this while. That's the issue.
The force of gravity will not help it to
the thing to land. So as Emir Sanusi, Mohammed Sanusi told us, he said we need to be very careful. And this is someone who, he's been there, he's done that, like the Americans will say, and he sits on the throne as we speak now. He says that, look, the amount of money that we spend on religion. He says in Kano, you mentioned Kano, that almost everywhere there's mosque. He points to another place in southern.
Not factories.
Yes, that's what he said.
Not factories, just like Lagos. All warehouses, all manufacturing companies are churches in Lagos.
Exactly.
The former minister was complaining we should have factories, not churches and mosques all over.
So Nigeria, that's what you get in China, factories everywhere.
So that's why we have.
When I visited, I didn't see any religious house.
Yeah, but because China's policy.
You don't see any pastor with a private jet or imam with
leave that one alone. So long as they didn't buy it with government money. I know some of them that are big time authors and they make good money from the books they write. But nevertheless,
how many of them?
I think that I can't see the government being so magnanimous, the federal government right now, to the point of allocating such humongous amounts to churches and mosques a few months to the general election. I think that it is related to the election. Maybe, yes, you want to buy the churches, you want to buy the mosques, you want members, or maybe pastors, because of the influence they wield
if a church
over their
receives
members.
5 million,
Yes.
for instance, can the preacher stand on the pulpit and speak truth to power?
Well, it depends on who the preacher is. I know preachers who, no matter what, will speak the word of God. And any man called a pastor, in the real sense of the word, would always speak the truth, you see. But in this case, I think that the government is making an overture to the churches, to the mosques, because it is trying to curry the favor of members towards the election. I do not think that our leaders have become so nice or so religious that after the state government has played its own role towards the churches, the local government councils are playing towards the churches and the mosques, they now want to add their own. There are people who are responsible for such things. The local government council is there. Even the state governments are also doing it. Like when you talk about pilgrimages, almost every state government in this country sponsors pilgrims to the Holy Land, whether Israel or Mecca, every year. Any way you look at it, Shola made a very strong point that religion is an opium in this country. Once you can show yourself as being religious and honest and nice, people tend to move to gravitate towards you. But we also pointed out something, I think Mustafa did that. We are not building industries. We are not building factories to absorb the teeming unemployed youths in this country. Rather, we build churches. Of course, I'm a Christian, born again for that matter, so I'm not against the building of churches. My family has also, built a house for the Lord. You do that where it does not affect.
You don't use public funds.
Whether human,
you can use personal funds.
Yes, personal funds.
The issue
where it does
funds.
not affect the country's development and the human capital development of this nation.
Okay.
A situation where you don't build more factories, you don't build industries, you do not invest in things that develop the potentials of the people, particularly the youths of this country. And then you're pouring money into what is not. Education is suffering. Look at Abuja. Around us here in Abuja, you see classrooms that have no chairs. The pupils are sitting on bare floor, not even bench. Bare floor. And then we are praising ourselves and we're feeling so good about it. It's a big shame on this country. It's a big shame on all of us.
It speaks volumes about the way those in high places use public funds, whether it's for their interest or for public interest. If it's for public interest, then this money should not go to all these places. Because, for instance, the best education institutions in Nigeria now are religious-based, from secondary schools to universities. They are owned by religious houses, and it should be government that should beat them to it. Now, that same government that have lost out in even health institutions, at least in the East, some of the best, Southeast, some of the best hospitals are owned by religious houses. Now, you talk about education, you talk about health. These are the two critical areas government should push in public funds, but they don't. When they leave a gap, religious houses will go and fill in the vacuum. Now, that same government will bring out someone and say, we are giving back to the church. In what way? It tells you that they are using public funds for different purposes.
And towards an election.
If I want to check my eyes, if I want to go to an eye hospital in Abuja or Kano, my first point of contact is the Equa Eye Clinics. Whether in Kano, For several decades, they have treated people and are still a patron. I'm a Muslim. I go to Equa. Would you remember he took me to a church hospital?
To MFM clinic.
Yes.
When he was here, and they treated him.
So the truth of the matter is, we spend monies where we are not supposed to spend. Let me tell you this. The concept of going for Hajj, even though it's one of the strong articles of faith, is not meant for somebody who is poor. You can pray, you can fast, but going to Hajj, the concept said, لمن استطاع إليه سبيلا, for those who are rich and can afford. How can you pay for Hajj for somebody who doesn't have a job, somebody who doesn't know how the breakfast he will eat, or where the lunch will come, or he doesn't have money to feed his family for today and tomorrow? Instead of training them in skills, instead of giving them capital to start a trade or farming, you spend about 3, 4, 5 million per person to pay for air ticket, hotel accommodation there, allowances there, and meals. What
and
religion
they come
are
back
you
to
doing
poverty.
that? Yeah, and then they come back to poverty. This is not Islam.
So my take on this is that in that report, the report zeroes in on how these funds are allocated in the various budgets, federal and state. And one of the key aspects of that report's findings is that funds are appropriated through various means, and those means are inserted in agencies, line heads. A ministry of so and so, they will put a mosque. The Minister of Agriculture, the first one under Buhari, what was he sacked for? No. He was removed because some monies went for building of a mosque in one place, and I'm sure
that's
we can remember.
Minister of Agriculture.
Yes.
In agriculture ministry,
Not fertilizer.
that should be concerned with development of agriculture potentials.
So, and all the scandal around it, and Buhari just quietly eased him out. We don't know whether he faced prosecution. So you can see where these things go. Vis-a-vis humanitarian, faith-based arrangement, then people siphon funds. And the key thing is this: if you recall, even in this country, there have been instances where an agency will have a budget for building its corporate headquarters. And in that budget, submitted to the contractor, you will see the line head there, mosque and church in the premises. So it's institutionalized in a way. If we can curb that, then we will know that those things will not happen to a large extent, Amechi, like you emphasized. But the thing about it is that if you see a DG of an agency who is of the one faith going into that place at particular time to go and pray, another one who is the DG or managing director, everybody will go and be praying and praying.
It starts with the Aso Rock Villa.
Yes. Where I've been to the chapel,
they
right?
converge. Instead of going for religious purposes, people will do everything possible to get into that Aso Rock chapel. If he's a Christian president, because by the time you're praying alongside with the president, you're having access. They don't go there for prayers.
No,
they go for access and connections to see how they can socket in, apologies to Professor Ayade, into the federal power. So it tells you that it's not for prayers, it's entirely for another purpose.
Yes, exactly. Amechi,
If
they were going there,
did they not say when two or more are gathered? Is that not a church?
if they were going there, look, let's get it straight. There's nothing wrong in building a chapel at the villa or a mosque at the villa. But let the intention be genuine and be out of the fear of God, not because we have ulterior motives. Like you rightly pointed out, most of them who go there to pray, they're not going to pray to God. They're going there so that the president can see them. Maybe they're people that the president had known before becoming president.
They want to
they want to reestablish
and most times they organize the early morning devotion.
Or the president.
You see how they troop to join them.
Not out of genuine fear or respect for God. Not because they really want to worship God. That's where it's wrong.
Actually agree
Motives
with you.
matter in everything you do in life.
And when those mosques and churches are even built, the adherents, the various sects and denominations will be struggling for control of such worship places. But coming back to the issue of governance, I think we should upscale the issues of our priorities, whether at the local government level, whose local government chairman, God knows what exactly they do, because the functions of the local government had been stable, and for like 90%, with all the money accruing to them now, nobody knows what the local government do. In the past, they buy fertilizer, the local government feeder road, the primary health care, most of which are empty, the rural school, the teachers' welfare, and what have you. And at the same state, now many of the governors, especially in northern Nigeria, are competing to build overhead bridges. Somebody said,
it's across Nigeria.
Yeah, somebody said that's where the big money can be
siphoned.
But then when you look at the various states, each state has a different need. What is that thing that is pushing every governor, especially now that these governors are rounding out, especially the second-term governors? What are those things that are pushing them to start building overhead bridges when water is a problem, security is a problem, rural health care is a program, the agri sector is still suffering? You start asking this question: is it that we lack priorities? Is our priorities that should guide our expenditure?
Absolutely. Now, when you scrutinize our budget, I'm of the view that Nigeria's annual budgets are the biggest single biggest fraudulent document you can get in any part of the world. Just scrutinize, you see things that are unimaginable. The other day we saw a Majeri Commission. What were they? Is it what inputs did we see in their budget lines? You see budget lines that are completely unrelated to the objectives and the mandate of an agency, a ministry, but they find their way into those places, and it tells you that it was done based on ulterior motive. They carefully planned them and carefully removed the money from the system. Or you need to do a scrutiny to what you find out is unimaginable, and it tells you about the holistic nature of this. I wouldn't say criminality. I'm just trying to be civil. This misdemeanor, if I've tried to be
the biggest question
about that.
Sorry, Amechi, I'm not stopping you. The biggest question about this Almajiri is, these kids have parents. Why should somebody marry 3-4 wives and send out the young boys to go and beg in the name of studying Quran, when the Sharia provides that up to the time your male children become adults, you should be the caretaker for all their needs? I think we need serious legislation where every parent who sent out his underage kid should be sent to jail, should be punished. Why should we have a parastatus in the name of Almajiri? The same problem happens to the young girls when they send out those boys to go and beg in the name of Almajiri. They also send the girls to go and sell granules, eggs, cola nuts, and what have you. And people take advantage of this underage at the motor park, marketplaces, rents, and whatever. You know what? So you start asking yourself, what kind of country are we? Especially the northern governor. When Erufai became a governor, we thought he could lead the way. Why? Because he started addressing the problem in Kaduna, and suddenly the fire died down. All these governors from the north will come and have a meeting and go. You are toying with the future generation.
Nigeria is peculiar. The country will create a problem, then create agencies or institutions to deal with that problem, and they will be dancing around it. We know the problem of Almajiri. We will not solve it. We will create an agency and pretend to be solving it. So that pretend to be solving it. You see the issue of child trafficking. We expose our young people by denying them basis of life. Then we establish NAPTIP to go and prevent it and all that. It's funny, but it tells you the situation.
But are those agencies also being empowered to actually carry the work effectively?
There are so many other departments in existing agencies that can easily handle this tax, but they always find a way of creating jobs for their boys and girls. Let's go for a break. When we come back, we interrogate our electoral process. Is ongoing deep down. Upload of names about to be completed before verification of particulars and documents and nomination forms by INEC will follow. Stay with us, and we have a national chairman of a political party that will join us after the break.
Hello, Nigeria. You asked for it. Now you have it. The ongoing nationwide continuous voter registration exercise has been extended to Sunday, 26th of July, 2026.
It gets better. From Wednesday, the 8th of July, you can now start and finish your registration using your smart devices from wherever you are. Simply visit cvr.inecnigeria.org to complete the process, including your biometrics.
No more queue, no unnecessary travel, just a simple, secure, and convenient registration process.
Remember, the physical registration option is still available at all INEC state, local government offices, and designated centers.
Your power to vote just got stronger. Register now.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT on air, online,
People, politics, and power brings context and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should come. We need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, Politics, and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will no performing agencies to be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We expect Professor Sadiq Gombe, National Chairman of Social Democratic Party, to join us virtually any moment from now. But just before then, I want to take you through the processes for processing of candidates that is ongoing in the run-up to the 2027 general election. Parties have since conducted their primaries. Upload of names of successful candidates to the portal of INEC is being concluded. The first batch was for presidential, vice presidential, and National Assembly seat concluded, and the second batch is ongoing now, about to be concluded. Governorship, deputy governorship, and state assemblies. After that, INEC will verify documents that are uploaded. Verification will be carried out to ascertain that they are in order and that they actually conform to establish laws and statutes. If there are discrepancies or questions, INEC will raise them and the candidate stands being disqualified. There's also a provision for after INEC must have published temporarily the names of successful persons. For those that are aggrieved, it must be those that were involved with the primaries. They can institute pre-election matters in court to challenge the validity of claims made by candidates. There's a provision for that. When all these are done, INEC will now publish the final list of candidates. Campaigns will start. The first campaign for the presidential and National Assembly election is on August 19, and for the next round of election that will come in February, early February 2027, is the governorship and state assemblies campaigns that will start on September 9. Gentlemen of the press, campaigns are not far away.
You know, for a very long time, if you have traveled with the politicians during campaign, or you watch them on television, radio, or read their messages on the newspaper, the messages have always been the same. Rest in peace, remembering MKO Abiola, Hope 93, right? Politicians will tell you about good road, general infrastructure, electricity, schools, hospitals, and what have you, poverty reduction, will build this and that. But I think the biggest problem is not even the campaign messages. The biggest problem is the electorates, or are the electorates in Nigeria. People have been sending representatives to the State House of Assembly, local government council, National Assembly, voting for governors, presidents, but you don't see Nigerians asking for feedback. No feedback mechanism. You elect people, they go away. Campaign promises, zero. They don't implement any, or most. And many, especially the Abuja politicians, don't go to the grassroots until when it's election time again. And of course, since 1999, you also have governors who are virtually Abuja governors because they don't stay in their state. They run their convoys in Abuja in the traffic like madmen, pushing people off the road, beating traffic live, their security personnel harassing everybody. So the biggest question is, as the campaign is coming, will Nigerians change their modus operandi? Should they start thinking about having a feedback mechanism, holding the politicians by their jugular and by their balls, if you can forgive my choice of language? Those ABC you promised, have you implemented them? Have you provided them? Especially at the state level, that now the governors are receiving more than enough subsidy money, because you see a governor with 30 vehicles in his convoy, sending people to Jerusalem and Mecca, people, jobless people, instead of putting that money in skill acquisition, especially for our youths and women in agriculture, because this poverty eradication that we are talking about, there are so many simple things that you can do that you can conquer poverty.
Okay. My take on what Mustafa has said is that do we blame the electorate? The electorate in this country has more or less been pushed to the wall. They do their bit. They come out to participate in the voting process. When they vote, do their results count? Are the ballots reflective of what is declared? Those are the questions. You talk to not a few people who participated in the process, in the last process, and they were promised that this result will count. And somebody sits somewhere with the power of his office to utter about 4 words. We had glitches. And the other people lose, the electorate, not a few lose hope in the process and say, I waited, I went there at 6 o'clock, I voted by 1 o'clock, I waited for the ballots to be counted, I left for home and see what has happened. So we should not blame the electorate. The electorate, Nigeria is a very set of resilient people. Some people told us when we were growing up that if you push Nigerians to the wall, that instead of turning around, like goats do, and face you, that in Nigeria will typically even merge with the wall, melt into the wall. So we shouldn't allow that to continue. Nigerians need to continue to speak up. The media is there, and they are using social media now to give their perspectives to how they
Would
feel.
they speak up when it's time to verify and scrutinize documents and claims made by candidates to the INEC portal? Because if you recall, one of the amendments to the Electoral Act was removal of presentation of fake certificate as one of the grounds upon which you can challenge via pre-election such action in court.
I'm surprised, because for that kind of that clause to have passed, it shows that we are not making progress. Because there are lots of people running up and down. Like I always tell people, I say, you see somebody today, that person tells you that Shola, so and so, don't address me anyhow, I'm Dr. so and so. I will say, when did you do doctorate program? He say, begins to stammer. When did you get honorary doctorate? They begin to stammer.
That's why you can buy honorary doctorate. That's why federal government said that you can no longer use those honorary doctorates as a title.
That's why I'm now saying that if somebody puts a PhD or whatever,
that wasn't earned.
That wasn't earned, or even puts a master's degree. We are seeing many of them who have been unearthed. At the beginning
There's nothing we can do.
At the beginning of
the
this
Electoral
republic,
Act,
somebody became a speaker.
Yes.
And he was outed. He went to University of Toronto. Even another person said, is it Chicago?
So Toronto in Canada, Chicago in US. Why do they keep going to those two
Shola said
countries?
it shows that we are not making progress. But beyond that, it shows you the intendment of most of these politicians and what they want to do. And possibly from those chambers that could look at such a thing and pass it, maybe some of them are brandishing certificates that they have not earned, certificates that are not genuine. What were they thinking? What are they scared of? Why would they remove such a provision in the Electoral Act? It shows that they don't have genuine intentions. Maybe they are trying to protect themselves, because don't forget that lawmakers, if you look at most of the laws they make, they are aimed first at protecting themselves.
Certain interests, rather than national interest, and
rather than national interest. But that is it. Now you get the point. So they know what they want to do. They know what they are planning to do. Maybe we are even going to get more people with fake certificates, and at the end of the day, we'll not be able to do anything. It's almost heartbreaking. Because that's why we have a lot of incompetence in the system. That's why we have people who occupy offices, who chair committees that they are grossly incompetent to supervise or superintend over, because they are not intellectually developed to the point of assuming those positions because of the fake certificates that they are brandishing. That's why we have poor performance by our leaders. A lot of them are not who they say they are. Okay. Meanwhile, within the same system, within the same polity, within the same society, we have people who are amply qualified, people who are ready, amply qualified and willing, committed to making sure that Nigeria gets better, that we have a new Nigeria where there are possibilities, and they are prevented by these touts and whatever you may decide to call them from getting there with fake certificates.
Going beyond
and fake declarations.
That, you see, for a very long time, Nigeria had become a certificate-based nation, whether in public service, political appointment, or in electioneering campaign. And I've said severally, even at seminars, challenging the educationally advanced part of Nigeria and the educationally backward in part of Nigeria. The various certificates, the various professors we have in various fields, what have we discovered or brought out for the development of humanity, like the owners of Apple, Microsoft, those who create various aircrafts and other technologies? I think when it comes to our election, maybe we should have a law that will prevent only primary school certificates.
And don't be surprised if most candidates will present their primary school certificate. They will not want scrutiny, so they will go for the safe one.
Yes.
Because it says, the law says primary school certificate or is equivalent.
So once we have a primary school certificate, I believe every elite has that primary school certificate.
Oh, not primary school living certificate.
Yes. You know, for a very long time, people have printed various grades of certificate from the master forgers Olole Street in Lagos and their components in other places. They have presented at higher institutions, civil services, corporate organizations, private organizations for jobs and what have you. And for political reasons, then certificates to be able to cover their tracks when they want to contest for a political office.
Not a few may remember Professor Jubril Aminu, who was a senator for 2 terms at the beginning of this Fourth Republic.
And the minister twice.
Yes. I'm even looking at his essay, the legislative position when he contested public office. The man, he's a medical doctor, he went to UI, became a professor of medicine. But when he files in his particulars for, the legislative seats that he sought and won, he just stayed put with the senior SSC, which in their own time was called WASC. He never filled in all the things he got, permit me, from UI. He just said, look, that's what the Constitution requires, I will put it there. Fine, I'm a professor of medicine, I'm learned, I'm an intellectual and all of that. So the desire to grandstand is good when you are learned and when you read. But where has your learning or where has your being well read led us as a country? These are the issues, because there are not a few persons who have held their own, they've studied hard, and those academic qualifications, but they are poor administrators. Very, very poor. Very, very, lukewarm, lackadaisical, they can't get things done, but intellectually they are quite sound. So if someone gets into a public office and you are not highly educated, you can have people around you who can work as technical assistants and help you drive your goal and vision in that particular office which you hold. That's just the key thing.
No, but what if you have these people to assist you and you still cannot assimilate, you cannot process the advice, the recommendations, you do not understand anything? How will that help us?
Okay, let's quickly bring you into the program. Let's hear from you as we shared some of the emails you sent to our platform, political platform@darkgroup.com. That's the email address as we go into Citizens Perspective.
Yes, the first one is from Emmanuel Nkama. And Emmanuel Nkama is writing from Gowon Estate, Alimosho in Lagos. He says the federal government budgets more than 8 billion naira for churches and mosques for humanitarian activities and poverty alleviation. It sounds funny and irritating. Nothing but political and deliberate misplacement of priorities to attract election support. This is because Nigeria is not a religious country but a secular nation, and thus does not need such government monetary intervention for churches and mosques to carry out any humanitarian work. Here is calling on the Tinubu administration to channel such humongous billions of naira to areas of priorities like health, education, road infrastructure, agriculture, insecurity, etc. These are the big elephants in the house confronting the ordinary citizen. Instead of cash handout to churches and mosques that seem like pouring water on the oceans, which way Nigeria is heading to?
Okay, there's a second mail, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so let's take these ones from our YouTube, live YouTube feed. Boss Ube Lucky says, I wish for my country, Deputy Speaker, allocating money to churches in his constituency from the budget. He says, what a shame. Samson Nessie 2005 says, any religious house that benefit from the national budget is into politics. Ballot or Masgure 481, political platform crew, this intervention could be for terrorism ravaged communities. Ask more questions, please. Well, some of the some of the explanation we are getting is that they want to, in this sensitize and conscientize the young ones in their communities. That's the explanations they are giving. Samuel Onlayinka says, money into religious institution or traditional sector is to win their support, loyalty for electoral purposes. And Banky tells is asking Uju, how much do they make from writing of books to buy jets? Making reference to, of course, your comment that some of these pastors that own private jets write books and make a legitimate money.
You see, there are some of them that their books are truly changing lives.
Bestsellers.
I know that somebody like Oyedepo, his books are bestsellers in the US. He sells, those books are sold in dollars, and there are a lot of pastors. Dr. Andy Osakwe. These are books that you read and they are life transforming, and people buy them.
And they can amount to buy.
Yeah, and Kumuyi's books. Yes.
From books
books are not these small ones. So because I have read 3 of them and they are truly life changing, and they are bulky. They are well researched. It's not just quoting the Bible, but applying them to everyday living. So some of them go that deep when they write, and people appreciate their books. I know these 3 that I've mentioned for sure.
When you talk about the conscientizing people, I think there's this Islamic organization.
And you asked what's the job of the National Orientation Agency?
Yes,
shouldn't they funnel such funds to them?
There's this Muslim appropriation organization that many people refer to them as any government is in power. Any government that is in power, they will associate, collect money, especially during campaign like this. We even learned that they have collected part of the Dasuki money that government has been probing. That when the probe started, their bosses were there every day at the EFCC, and you need to see the kind of life they are living, the kind of houses in big places there like Metama, the kind of convoy, brand new SUVs, and you tell people that you are doing religion. Which God are you worshiping?
Those are the hungry pastors and leaders in your mosque. But when you talk, you can never mention a name like Adeboye or Oyedepo. When you say such things, you could never hear Oyedepo being involved in going to the villa or anywhere. Okay. Can you point a finger? Can you ever remember him? You cannot hear a Dr. Andrew Osakwe going to the villa. These are, he's Dr. Andrew Osakwe is a medical doctor. The wife is the medical doctor. These are well-established people. Yes, these are well-established people. They don't need handouts. They can stand as men.
Amechi just read something. Amechi said, even if they don't go to the villa, that do they support the inactions or actions of those in authority at whatever level?
Have you ever had an Andy Osakwe supporting? They pray for the church as the Bible directed, and that is it. They pray for the church.
For us,
for the government, not for the church. They pray for the church. They pray for the government. The Bible says, "Pray for those in authority." I think these men that I know, that's what they do. As the service is starting with the national anthem, they pray for the government and the people of Nigeria.
Last word from Shola.
So the topic we've looked at this morning touches the mind, touches the heart. Religion is a personal thing with your creator, whatever you subscribe to. The state is expected to allow you perform your religion to the best of your ability. Yeah. And that's why the constitution of this country tells us so, that there's freedom of thought, freedom of religion.
Yes.
And the state, when I mean the state, the governmental entity, the federal, state, local, should not stifle any religion and should not pour government funds into religion.
Exactly.
That's the point. And that report, which we have looked at as the main, thematic area for our discussion this morning, has highlighted the need for us to continue to spotlight what every person in governmental authority is doing, be he or she a local government chair, a state governor, or a president of a country. Know what you're doing with government funds.
I just remembered something when somebody gave David and another man of God in the Bible something to go and worship God with. I think Abraham, another time was even. I said, no, I will not offer unto God what cost me nothing. So the worship of God is personal. It is you worshiping God, not going to collect to come and worship God.
Thank
if it doesn't cost you anything,
so much
then you're not worshiping
for joining
God.
us today. Our apologies. Guest, the national chairman of SDP, Professor Sadiq Gombe, is unable to join us today. We apologize profusely for that, but we'll come back tomorrow stronger, no doubt. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Amit Chanapwe. Have a good time.